Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tilting Ground Untitled Notre Dame USC Football Podcast. I'm USC fan Michael Muto. I'm here with Notre Dame expert Greg Flamong. Greg, it was an exciting Saturday, even though Notre Dame didn't play football. How are you feeling?
It was so great, Michael. My my wife, um, she's perfect for many reasons. One of which is for some reason, during the week, she just said, "Hey, Greg, when do the conference championship games start? Like, what time does everyone play?" And it caught me off guard. I was like, I don't really know, but let's find out. So she literally planned our day around the games.
Wow.
I know. We were going to one of her friend's house, and she was like, "Well, how about if because it was for like a brunch, like a thing, we've done every year. We go to her friends with families and kids and whatever. We have brunch, and it was supposed to be like from 10 to like you know 12 or whatever, 10 to 1." And she was like, "Well, how about if we go at 9 for the Big 12 title game, and then we could watch that." Because her friend's husband is like, he's way into football too, so she knew it would be on. So why don't we watch that, and then we could leave, so we can get home in time for the SEC championship game. And I was like, this is like the greatest thing I've ever heard
You're
in my
like,
life.
where am I? What happened?
Yeah, so I literally got to watch football from 9 to like 8 o'clock.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was great. And I still had, of course, daddy duty to do, right?
Of course.
The kids, and got to watch them and play with them. But I mean, the games were on. As long as I was able to get bath time good, and dinner and lunch and everything taken care of, everything went great. It was very exciting.
Well, that's very
Pleasurable day.
exciting.
Yes.
It's kind of funny that it happened on a weekend where Notre Dame wasn't playing, but that the football schedule was
Well,
taken
I
into
guess
effect.
she
But
told
whatever,
me.
beggars can't be choosers.
She said like, "Oh, I'm really into it," and I think it's funny because Notre Dame was out, but in a sense, like it's almost better because we don't really care, and it's actually like, but it's super relevant to Notre
Right.
Dame. So
It's all important games. Every game
right,
has
like
will affect the college football
it
playoff.
all ties in, and since Notre Dame is good, and we can just watch without like having there be any stress about it.
Right.
So yeah, it worked out.
All right. All right.
Yeah, it
Makes
was
sense.
awesome.
How exciting.
Yes.
So tell us who's Notre Dame playing, where, when, why.
Um, so the rankings came out today. Notre Dame remains at 3, much to the chagrin of many
Twitter.
who
Yeah.
work at the ESPN. And thank God, Michael. Thank God it's over, and the rankings have come out, the final rankings, and I don't have to hear these terrible opinions anymore. I don't have to care, and no one has to say anything because
I
the
mean,
games
look,
are just going to
there
be
needs to
played.
be 2 SEC teams, Ohio State, I guess Oklahoma, and sorry, Notre Dame, you just didn't make the cut.
Yeah, like it's just unfortunately,
Like
you
it's
know,
not a real national. Oh, and Clemson. I forgot Clemson.
you
But
have to play. You cannot be a playoff team unless you play on the final weekend, Michael. That's
and
just
look,
the rule.
Central Florida hasn't lost in 2 years. So I mean,
I know.
it puts Notre Dame at like 7 the way we're going.
I know. And it's like really bad because I make it a point to not like listen to sports pundits just in general.
Right.
Like I do it. I
Well, you have
mean,
to. I mean, it's pretty hard not
well,
to.
it's
But
just like I follow the sport, right? So you're gonna hear things, but like I don't watch. Like I never watch game day. I don't watch like college football final, or like I don't listen to Kirk Herbstreit on the radio or whatever. It just doesn't matter. Like I don't care. Notre Dame plays their games. If they win, great. If they don't win, not great. I don't really care about their opinions. But on a day like today, and like especially yesterday, like after all the games are over, it's like you kind of have to pay attention to it. Like it's everywhere. It's
right.
hard to miss.
That's all.
So
It's the only thing going on too. It's not like
Yeah,
There's
and
like a lot more, stuff to filter through. It's like this is what everyone's talking about.
yeah, and Herb Street wants like at the end of the games, Herb Street wanted Georgia to jump Notre Dame after losing, which was tight. Like great. Like before, it was funny too because he put out all the different scenarios on his Twitter before the games were played. And it was basically like if Bama wins close, which is what ended up happening, he was like, it should be Bama 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3, Georgia 4. And then Bama won close, and instead he said, no, Georgia should be 3. And that's tight. Like anytime you can move up while losing,
I mean, yeah. And
that's how you do
it's
it.
the SEC, man. They're just better than everyone else.
They are.
Don't you know that?
Apparently, I did know that, but it needs to be reinforced to the point of like absurdity.
Yeah.
Which is nice. So Notre Dame's got Clemson. They're going to play in Dallas.
Cotton Bowl.
It's going to be a 1 p.m. Jerry World. It's going to be a 1 p.m. Pacific on December 29th in the national semifinal, right. Michael.
I know the team that played in the Cotton Bowl last year. Didn't go well for them.
Not quite the same stakes.
Not at all. I think Notre Dame got the good draw, even though the computers say they have the least likely chance to win a national title.
Right. Well, look,
mean, you don't want Alabama, right? I mean, that's just that we're that's easy. That's easy.
Definitely don't want Alabama.
And I think Oklahoma, they got that puncher's chance, right? They could just get out in front of you and you're in trouble.
They've got that offense.
Yeah.
Right. They've got the offense and they got the quarterback.
And but I feel like Clemson is, they've had some duds. They've had some close games. Notre Dame has some unfinished Clemson business from a couple years ago.
That is true.
So they won't be scared. It's probably none of those guys are still on the team, but whatever.
Give me I mean, of the 4 teams, obviously I'd rather play Oklahoma.
Really? I think you'd rather play Clemson.
No, and I'll tell you why.
All right.
Give me the team with the defense that loves to just give up points. You always, because look, it's in their, the way that they play is their mindset is like, oh, we just need like 2 or 3 stops a game.
Right.
We'll be fine. Yeah. Whereas Clemson is thinking, how about if we don't give up any points today? And you never want to play the team with like the amazing defensive line. Like that's not. You don't want to do that.
But you're always in it. I mean, I feel like you're always in it. You're one play away if you're playing Clemson. If you're playing Oklahoma, the game could be over 8 minutes into it when you're down 3 touchdowns.
But you're assuming you're stopping them from scoring. Clemson's offense is really good.
That's true.
So, I mean, look, it's the national semifinal, right? Like
but
all
everyone's
these games. And the other thing is like all 3 of these teams have more talented rosters than Notre Dame does. That's just a fact. I mean, it's just like if you're just going by recruiting rankings. Like I was looking at it today, and Clemson since 2015.
I mean, yeah.
They've signed 11 5-star players. And like consensus 5-star players. Like not one thing. Like 247 composite, 11 5-star guys. Like Notre Dame has 1. Incidentally, Bama has 15.
I mean, but, once again,
so
we're not talking about them.
These teams, like, it's just different. Like I think Clemson is Notre Dame. What does
Oklahoma have? Just out of curiosity.
They only had 2.
Yeah, I was going to guess.
They didn't have that many. Yeah, they don't have that many. But that's not counting the quarterback.
I was going to say this. Yeah, that's my next question. Does he count?
Because he didn't sign with them.
He transferred.
But he is a 5-star player. So
he was like Sports Illustrated High School Player of the Year, right? The year before JT Daniels.
The other thing I was looking at is I was looking at the top 7 teams and their quarterbacks.
Okay.
So Alabama 5-star, Clemson 5-star, and
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence. So it's out of like the way the composite works. It's like a batting average, right? So it's like percentage, right? So it's like
Okay.
it's 0.9 something, right? So like it goes up to 1 basically.
And it was if you're nine or above, you're a 5-star. If you're
No, it's like because you can be like a 0.985 something. It's more like it's the ranking nationally.
okay,
Or
relative to other
maybe there
players.
is a cutoff. Yeah, I don't know. Usually there's like 30 guys.
Okay.
Usually there's around 35-star players. Um, so yeah, so 1.0 is like a perfect player, basically.
Okay.
Clemson's quarterback is 0.999. So he was the top ranked recruit. So you have Alabama 5-star,
I mean,
Clemson
to be
5-star.
fair, he didn't leave high school early, so I think the rankings may have been skewed when they
It
were
may
comparing
be
quarterbacks. Since
it. That's
he's
true.
also a true freshman.
That's true, Michael. Um, so Bama 5-star, Clemson 5-star, Oklahoma 5-star.
Oklahoma Major League Baseball outfielder or whatever.
Yeah. Georgia's quarterback is a 5-star. No, he was a 4-star. He was the 34th ranked player in the
But isn't their
country.
backup quarterback a 5-star?
Yes. So he was the 34th ranked. So basically, he just missed. He just missed being a 5-star. Um, let's see who's 6th. Haskins, the runt of the group, of the elite group, I should say.
Right.
He was a 4-star. He was 91st in the country in his class. And then Shea Patterson was 4th in the country. He's a 5-star.
Yeah.
And then you have Ian Book, who
Who
is a
shunned
3-star,
Washington State?
who is a 3-star, and was the 517th ranked player in his class. Like, it's just different.
What was Brandon Wimbush?
He was actually ranked really high. He was 46th, I want to say. So he would be, if he was starting, it would be, commensurate. But like there being this whole run is being kind of quarterbacked, pardon the pun, quarterbacked by Ian Book, who's a 3-star player who was previously committed to Mike Leach in Washington State. So big talent discrepancy is what I'm trying to say.
A little bit.
Yeah, but that's fine. So, did you watch the games?
I did not. I feel like I cashed a lot of my football chips in these last weeks. So
I thought you did. Did you watch?
No USC action. I was like, you know what? I'll just catch highlights here and there. I dipped in every now and then just to see what was going on, but I did not actively watch the game.
Did you see the fake punt?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
In the Georgia game.
I did not see the fake punt.
Okay, so you want to handle that?
All right, I'm back. Apparently, she did not fall asleep.
Okay. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I think so.
Okay.
All right. So, fake punt. Tell me about it.
Fake punt. Okay, so in the Georgia game, it's like I think it was tied at 28 at this point. Alabama has just scored by the backup Jalen Hurts. I assume you know about that.
I did, yes. I caught that.
Okay, so he comes in, and Gary Danielson, who's calling the game, is just losing his mind. Right? Oh my God, this is the story of Jalen Hurts, the backup, and he's still on the team, and he's playing, and it's unbelievable.
Didn't transfer, yeah.
Didn't transfer, unbelievable. It's like, okay, thank you. Like, we get it. Like, I understand. Like, everyone knows that. Oh yeah, wow, kind of cool, right? Like, the backup is coming in and he was replaced against this team. It's like, okay, we get it. But no, nothing could happen without them reminding us that he was the starter and is now the backup, and now he has to fill in for the starter. What a story. We get it.
Right.
So he throws the touchdown. So it's tied at 28. Georgia's given up a 14-point lead. And they have the ball around like midfield, and it's 4th and 11. And they bring out the punt team, and the game is on. And they've been using like they have a true freshman quarterback who was a 5-star player who they use every now and then.
Right.
And they used him in this game, and his name is Justin Fields, and he's number 1. And so they go to punt, and you see number 1 as the up back in the punt formation. And I'm thinking, is that the quarterback? And I'm like, they probably have 2 number 1s, because
it's college football.
It's college football, and like he's obviously not the normal up back, and they're obviously not gonna fucking run a fake right here. So it must not be him. And as soon as that thought goes out of my head, they snap it to him. And not just that, but the other thing that I'm thinking is like, while I'm thinking, is that Justin Fields? Like, you look at the Alabama defense, and they're in punt safe.
Uh-huh.
They have their linebackers out there, like their corners, like they're not rushing. They're totally just in a formation. So they snap it to this kid. He runs left like he's going to run speed option with the punter. And that obviously doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So then he drops back like he's going to pass it. And he doesn't, like, no one's kind of open. And so he just kind of panics and he tries to run. And he gains maybe like a yard. and it's just... And so they give it up on downs, and then Alabama scores like 6 plays later.
It's terrible.
I mean, it was insane. It was nuts. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And they asked Kirby Smart afterwards, like, "Oh, like, what were you thinking?" And he's like, "Well, it would have worked if we had snapped it sooner, but we didn't snap it soon enough, so they adjusted, and then it wasn't going to work." Like, no response as to whether or not, like, do you want to call timeout then, or because you got
options.
They had a ton of timeouts. They had like 3 at the time, or maybe 2. So it's like, you want to call timeout, like, kind of a big deal, right? And he's like, I was just trying to be aggressive. It's like, look, you want to be aggressive, then that's fine. Do it with your freaking offense. Why don't you be aggressive with your offense? The other thing is, they had punted on like a 4th and 2 from midfield, like 10 minutes before that. It's like, what? You want to be aggressive with your stupid fake punt, but you don't want to do it on 4th and 2? So I thought they should have been, like, people wanted to keep them in the playoff. I was like, look, you were up 14 and you blew it. And then you ran a stupid fake punt on 4th and 11 trying to be all sneaky tricksy, and it didn't work out. So that was that. That was basically the highlight of the whole day.
The Alabama game for you, or the weekend?
Well, I mean, just the shenanigans of it. So,
let's see what else did we? And then Clemson won, Ohio State won. Who else won? Oklahoma won, Central Florida won. So I mean, everyone who was supposed to win won, right?
It was chalk. Like, it was basically chalk. Like, even though the day was fun, like Oklahoma, they were down early. That was kind of exciting the way that they won the game. Let's see. I mean, Ohio State, like, they were up 3 in the 4th quarter, I think it was, against Northwestern, but then they blew them out at the end. It's crazy how they didn't move up at all.
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, but it's kind of weird. Like, it kind of informs like the way the committee thinks about these things. because like Georgia didn't win their conference and lost, and they have 2 losses, and they stayed ahead of Ohio State, who did win the conference and only has 1 loss.
That's
Now,
true.
granted, that loss, but like, look, that loss, they lost by 29 to Purdue, and that's terrible. But Georgia has a 20-point loss in their resume. Yeah, I know it's to LSU, but
But still, it's still a loss.
it's still a loss, and they
one
don't
of
have,
two.
as far as I know, they don't have a win like Ohio State had against Michigan.
Right.
So, but like 10 days ago was the greatest team since freaking the 95 Nebraska.
Right, and then fell apart.
Jesus.
Classic Michigan.
Freaking. That's what kills me about these guys and their stupid eye tests. Like, look at you want to tell me about the eye test, right? Like Kirk Herbstreit. It's like, no. My eye test tells me that Georgia's one of the best 4 teams. Okay, well, your eye test has been lying to you about Michigan for 10 weeks. Okay, every one of those clowns thought Michigan was better than Notre Dame for 2 months. And then whoopsie doopsie.
Michigan looks terrible.
They got blown out by 30 points or whatever it was. And nobody talks about them ever again. But now, okay. Now that eye test is done, I have a new eye test, and that new eye test is Georgia. Like, come on, man. At some point, you play the games, you lose the games, and that's the way it goes.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for, Michael.
Speaking of play the games, did you catch the Pac-12 title game?
Man, I did not watch that duty. Amy and I, we went out to dinner with friends, and it was great.
They still scored more touchdowns.
And she was I think Amy had checked the score at one point, and she was like, "Oh," and I said, "What?" She was like, "It's 3-0 at halftime." And I was like, "Jesus." Then I got home and I looked at Twitter and I saw like there were 17 people in the stands,
all booing.
Good gracious! Oh, because of the Pac-12 commissioner guy.
Yeah, when the Pac-12 commissioner came out, the whole stadium booed. They said that was the loudest it got.
Oh God, that's terrible. 10-3.
That's so bad.
No offensive touchdowns.
So bad.
Ugh.
I've been railing about what a down year it's been for the Pac-12. I'm just glad that I was right.
It wasn't an up year, Michael.
It definitely wasn't. This is more of a crater. So what's the feeling around Notre Dame? What's the Twitter feed? What's the people say? What are the players saying?
I think it was just
as expected.
Business as expected, usual. Like relief.
Get to the holidays.
Relief that there weren't any shenanigans. Just kind of happy to be in it. I mean, that's from the fan base, right?
Yeah.
Because, I think everyone kind of acknowledges, like, okay, like I said, there's a talent gap there. This is a different class of football now when you're dealing with Alabama and Clemson. And, and it's like, so it's a different feeling because I feel like ever since the Michigan game, every game that they played was kind of like, we should win this game. We could lose, but we should win. I'm trying to think if there was a game.
I don't think so.
Definitely Syracuse. Like, it was not. I don't remember being like really kind of worried about that game. I guess probably Stanford was the only one where it was like, why do they always beat us?
And in hindsight, that really was not the case.
Well, I mean, yeah, like they were ranked 7th at the time, though. So, that was a game where it was kind of iffy, but, so now it's like, hey, we're playing a team that is actually
this is it. This is the real
more
deal.
Talented than we are, yeah. And it's actually nice because it's like Notre Dame has to come up with the performance now. Like, they're the ones that have to raise their game, whereas Clemson is kind of in the position that Notre Dame has been all year, in that like we just have to play our game, and Notre Dame has to raise their level. So
Clemson probably feels like, well, we got the worst team,
right?
So they're excited.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, that's how everyone feels.
We could get into X's and O's.
Oh, we have so much time.
Yeah, we got weeks, especially without USC playing football. So we have lots of Notre Dame time.
You know, it just occurred to me
Huh?
because I was gonna say, like, I mean, there's so much time between now and then. Like, something could happen to players because this is around the time when grades come in, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
It's
Notre
the
Dame
winter
could lose a
break.
player, Clemson could lose a player. Knock on wood. Hope that doesn't happen, but it's possible. But then it just occurred to me, like, what was happening around this time in 2012 was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy was finding out that he was being catfished, and
I forgot about that.
the whole
I
national
mean,
story.
I didn't forget about that, but I did forget that was the run up to the national
If I
title
recall
game.
correctly, like it was around this time when it was being discovered that the whole thing was a hoax.
Yes, yes.
So I would really like
Definitely
it.
distracting.
I would really like it if that wasn't the case this year.
If Ian Book doesn't have a fake dead girlfriend.
God, man. So,
That's good. That's good. I like that you got to the Manti Te'o joke before I did.
Well, it's not a joke. It's
Not a
just
joke,
like,
but yes, you got to
it's
the
just the
subject
fact of it.
matter
Like,
before I
man,
did.
it's kind of crazy how, like, man, the 13, like, Notre Dame wouldn't do a 30 for 30 after this, but or like ESPN wouldn't. But if you
Right.
looked at the months after losing to Alabama, I mean, just a poop show of terrible news. Like you had Brian Kelly was interviewing with the Eagles, so we thought he was going to leave. The Manti Te'o thing happens. Then they have signing day, and there's this kid who was a 5-star defensive tackle, signed with Notre Dame, and then immediately decided he didn't want to go there. Left, petitioned the NCAA to let him go to UCLA and play right away, and they granted it.
NCAA nothing but consistent, right?
I mean, he signed with Notre Dame and then played at UCLA that next season. Oh boy. So that was not a good. Oh, and then we found out in the spring that Everett Golson was suspended for the season. He was kicked out of school.
Oh yeah, that happened.
That was tight. So I would really appreciate it if none of those things happened.
After or going forward.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of bad things happening.
You want to talk about the rumor mill, Michael?
So I mean, there's nothing good at USC. First, we have some fired coaches. T. Martin got fired. Kadichi Udezi got fired.
Defensive line
coach, and someone else got fired. What is
Ronnie someone?
I don't know.
The running back coach.
Yeah. Then the quarterback's coach left, who's now the offensive coordinator at Western Kentucky.
Yes.
The ties will always be.
With Tyson, right?
Yeah, Clay Helton's brother. Clay Helton still has a job, and Clancy Pendergast still has a job, and John Baxter still has a job. So that's where we are now. But the big rumor floating around USCville, and I think a pin may have been put in it today, but Cliff Kingsbury was on campus on Friday interviewing for the USC offensive coordinator job. But the new rumor today was that the Rams are offering him a special assistant job for the remainder of the season.
Yes.
So that seems cooler than being USC's offensive coordinator. But I mean, maybe if you're USC's offensive coordinator, you're thinking they have a bad season, then he gets to be the head coach next year.
Well, but here's the thing: if they were to have a bad season, why would you want him to be the head coach?
That's a great point.
Because they're not going to have a bad season, but still have a great offense.
It's like any given Sunday, they got Al Pacino's on the way out.
Yeah.
Offensive coordinator's just waiting there.
So what do you think about that? Like just Cliff Kingsbury?
I don't know. I mean, he's Texas Tech. If he was so good, he wouldn't have got fired at Texas Tech.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a great wide receivers. They have a good quarterback, so that air raid stuff might be pretty cool to see with like five top tier talent. But the reason you do that is because you don't have top tier talent. So maybe it'll nullify some of the, you know, I don't, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I think it's a very specific system. I don't know if Clay Helton will mesh with it. What if Clay Helton still wants to call plays? What if they still want to run all their weird formations? I mean, I guess the assumption is if you're going to take all this money to be USC's offensive coordinator, you get some control. But I don't know. I'm not as jazzed as everybody else. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is the answer to any question. I mean, he's better than T. Martin, I guess, but who knows how good he is at recruiting. Um, I don't know. The problem still is Clay Helton's there, so it doesn't really matter. Like, you could bring in the second coming of, I don't know, name the best offense, like Bill Walsh, and it wouldn't matter. Clay Helton's still the boss.
I I don't understand why either side would want to do it. Like,
You put such a high profile guy in such like a
right.
secondary position.
Well, for him, like, yes, yeah. Like, why would you go backwards?
Like, yeah, he could probably be a head coach somewhere,
Yeah, he could. And
or
like,
be a
why,
pro offensive coordinator.
right, well, do something in the NFL. Like, why would you want to? You were a head coach and you're a young guy. Like, why go to a school like USC where I don't want to say it's a lame duck head coach, but it's
You're
a
not
head
winning
coach.
the national title. Let's be
He
real.
doesn't have any cachet. Like, he's so
Thin
like,
ice, the thinnest of ice.
and he's honestly like, Clay Helton is beta,
Yeah,
and Cliff Kingsbury is an alpha. Like, it seems like such a poor fit. It's such a poor fit. Like, oh, everything you hear about Clay Helton is like, oh, he's such a nice guy and everyone loves him. Like, oh, what a great person. But he's not like a strong personality. And Cliff Kingsbury is a super strong personality.
yeah,
Like, why would Clay Helton want him around? Why would he
right,
want him dominating the headlines? Why would he want him being the like? I feel like Cliff Kingsbury, if he was to, he would be the face of the program.
right. Every time something good happened, he'd make sure everyone knew it was his offense.
Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and I just like Clay Helton would have no role. He would have no like pull. It would be Cliff Kingsbury's program. I
And
don't
we
know
know
why.
that Clancy's the defensive guy, so he couldn't get any
Right.
recognition there.
So I don't know why he would want to sign up for that. Like, I really don't.
I don't either.
And like, I don't know. I feel like if he didn't come, I think it's a bullet dodged, honestly.
For everybody.
Yes. Like, you don't need a guy, like, need you don't need a name. Like, the thing that I didn't understand about, like, and look, Ryan Abraham, like, I respect him a lot. Like, he knows a lot more about USC than I do by eons. And maybe he was just talking about um what would appease the fans. But when he said like USC could go out and get a name guy like Kingsbury, like, that would, kind of change the narrative a little bit. And I agree that that's true. But
But is that the name you want?
I don't think that's the answer. Like, I think you just got to go get a person that you think can fit with the culture that he wants to build. And like, since they referenced Notre Dame, like, I think it's useful to look at their example. No one really knew, like, nationally, who Chip Long was. Right? I mean,
Right? I mean, yeah, no, I mean,
you ask 10 people, like, who is Chip Long at the time?
you can ask him now, probably. It's still would be pretty
Like,
dodgy.
he's not a big face. But Brian Kelly knew what he wanted. He knew what type of person he was looking for, and he brought him in. And now, it's obviously going really well. Same thing on defense, right? He
Mm-hmm.
got Mike Elko, who was not a name. It's not like he got Dave Aranda or Brent Venables
Right.
or the guy from Jimmy Lake, the guy from Washington. He didn't get any of those guys. He got a guy from Wake Forest. But it was like he fit. He fit what Notre Dame wanted to do. He fit what he wanted to be. He fit the way he wanted to recruit and all that stuff. And it's worked out. So, like, he didn't go get a name. Like, who's the best choice? And I feel like going for Cliff Kingsbury, it's like that's the name. And it's like such an LA thing to do.
And it may not be the best choice.
Right. It's such a Los Angeles thing.
Right. Like you can get a million air raid guys if you really wanted to. You can
Right,
get any
like-
Sonny Dykes guy. You can get any Mike Leach guy. You can get, they're all out there.
And for Clay Helton, like, dude, you are a good enough offensive coordinator to where you don't need Cliff Kingsbury to come in here and put in an air raid offense.
Some weird offense that you don't know how to run.
Yeah, like you know how to do it. You know how to run offense if that's the thing. That's not the problem. The problem is the culture of your program stinks. And it's like it's Cliff Kingsbury, the solution to
some
the
kingmaker, yeah.
I don't think he is.
Like he lucked into Patrick Mahomes, and now everyone loves him.
He had Patrick Mahomes on his team, and he lost a whole bunch of games. It's not like they won. What did they ever win?
Nothing.
So I don't like it. I don't like it. Like
good. I'm not the biggest fan either. I thought I was kind of a crazy person. Like,
no,
am I a bad guy here for this?
I think there's a better option for them. It's just like, honestly, it's like, look, how did you get Pete Carroll?
They found him on the trash heap.
Everyone wanted the names. Like, fucking, whoever heard of Norm Chow? You know what I mean? Like, no one's ever heard of that guy. And next thing you know, in 2002, I'm sitting in the stands, and SC has like 5 people open on every play, like wide open. People just running free.
Norm Chow.
Norm Chow, man.
Offensive coordinator of Hawaii.
Just crushing. So, I don't know. I think that, like, honestly, if he turns it down and they have to settle for something else, if I was you, I would be encouraged.
I agree. I'm with you.
Although I did think the one guy that I thought of when I was like, when it was kind of announced, like what day was it? Thursday? Wednesday?
The Kingsbury was interested, or
no? It was like it was official. He agreed.
Like, gonna happen.
Yeah, all over USC Twitter, it was like he has agreed to do it.
Yeah, I think it was like late Thursday.
Yeah,
I think by Friday it had died down a little bit.
And the person that I thought of, where I was like, this guy is going to blow up, is Velus Jones. I was like,
he'll just be open all the time.
The fourth guy in this offense is good. And someone like him who's like a rocket ship. I was like, man,
he's going to be athletes in space.
He's going to blow up. But who knows? We'll see. I feel like when you get to the point, like there was a report, like we're waiting for an answer. I feel like when it's that, then it's like, okay, we kind of know.
The answer's
Maybe
no.
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like if you're just sitting around waiting for an answer, he doesn't really want to come. It's almost better to pull it at that point.
Well, I think it was just like such a no-brainer when it first happened. Like, oh, SC needs offensive coordinator. Kingsbury's fired. Like, it's a high-profile job. And then he probably was like, wait a second, what am I doing? Like, am I just going to jump into the first job I get? Like, I can go take a Packers interview maybe. Like, like there's things out there.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like such an easy thing at first, and then he kind of realized, wait a second, I might have some more options. Mm-hmm. I mean, who knows who gets fired? Who knows who tries to go pro? Like, there's jobs out there.
I mean, the Kansas State job's open.
That's true.
Apparently.
See, there you go. He's already recruited that area.
I mean, there's always a job.
There's always a job for Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. I got no other USC news. It's been pretty quiet on the Trojan front. No one's gotten in trouble. No announcements on who's leaving early. I don't know what's happening with recruits. Clancy was in someone's living room the other day. I saw that.
It's interesting they're keeping him.
I don't know why. I mean, he's. I think honestly, they could hire someone worse. There's a real chance you hire someone worse. Like I know there's a real chance you could hire someone better too. But like he is like right. He's competent. You know, he's not great. And he's not bad. He's like he's like a C+ level defensive coordinator. And maybe with a better offense, you hope that the defense isn't on the field as much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because the defense wasn't really the problem. I mean, it definitely wasn't the answer, but it wasn't the problem. USC was in every game. So I don't know. I mean, could they have played better? Yes, but they led the nation in sacks 2 years ago. Like, there's some, the adjustments probably could be fine tuned a little bit.
The thing is like he kind of seems like a retread. Well, because he was.
He is.
Yeah, it's not.
That's why he seems like it.
Yeah,
but they pay him a ton of money too.
Jesus.
He's also on a list of guys who make too much money.
I don't like. I feel like keeping him and getting rid of the defensive line coach and most of the offense. It's like I feel like that's a half measure.
Yeah. And he allegedly doesn't even recruit, so it's like, you get someone in there.
Defensive coordinators that don't recruit. That was BG. That was Brian Van Gorder's thing too. Yeah. Just like a zero in recruiting.
Oh, I don't recruit. Just call the kids. How hard is that?
How can you do that?
I feel like if you're a college coach and you'd like to continue to be employed, be good at recruiting.
Well, especially when it's like, dude, like, do you want you want good players on your defense, right? Like, go get them. I don't know. Do you like having poor players on your defense, or do you want to get the best guys?
It's like, I got to scheme. I'm too busy scheming.
Especially at USC too. It's like it's hard.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's all I got.
Okay, Michael.
We can't take too much from the well because there's not a lot going on.
Right.
So we got to keep some stuff in the tank for next week.
Well, I mean, we probably got Notre Dame's banquet coming up.
That's true. We've got some awards.
We got some awards. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to win 5 awards for USC.
All of them. Him and Michael Pittman, they'll just share all the awards.
Yes, just give them all to receivers.
Velus Jones can get most improved. I still don't know who I'm going to give offensive lineman of the year to. I'm still working on that.
Give it to Amon-Ra.
I'm sure he blocks someone somewhere at some point.
Give it to blocker of the year.
Blocker of the year. There we go. We'll change it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll follow Greg on Twitter, Greg2126. Follow Greg at uhnt.com. I'm sure they're going to have lots to write about with the Cotton Bowl coming up. Follow us on Twitter, Tilting Ground. Subscribe. New podcasts every week. And fight on.
Go Irish.
All right.